particular. Like, what is the purpose? What am I trying to do? Who are giving you keys, giving you gems, creating pipelines to access, talking to influential people, icons, about how they've done it, and sharing the tips so that you can enter into that space. One thing that I do know about marginalized communities is that the pipeline to access is often limited. Now, if you cleaned up on Saturday mornings and your parents played old school music, then this show is for you. Because welcome, everyone. You are now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya On-Air. I'm your host, Dr. Sanya, and are you ready for another celebrity interview? Not just any typical celebrity interview. Here on Sanya On-Air, we unpack celebrity pivotal moments and their milestones so that you can have access to opportunities. So today's guest, Nzinga Imani. If you've seen the hit Tyler Perry series, Zatima and Sistas, then you know this amazing actress. We're going to be discussing a plethora of topics. You know, as I was preparing for this conversation, I was asking myself, Dr. Sanya, what are you going to talk about? And it came to me. I really want to talk about how women of color decide to color outside of the lines. Let me repeat that again. I want to talk to Nzinga Imani about being an amazing woman of color, a Black girl, who has the audacity to color outside of the lines. I remember growing up, I'm not going to tell you the year, but in the 70s, okay? I'm not ashamed to say it. I remember growing up in the 70s, and I really didn't see a lot of Black and brown representation on the television. And I really had to ask myself, did I believe at that age that there wasn't a place for women or men who looked like me? Well, not the men who look like me. Was there a place for women who looked like me? Darker complexion, curvy, unapologetic, bold, and boisterous. I never thought that there wasn't a place for me. I just knew that the world wasn't ready for me yet. And then fast forward, we do have a increased level of representation, but I do believe that we have a long way to go still. Now, if you've seen Nzinga Imani on the hit show Zatima, her character's name is Angela. Now, Angela is this vivacious, beautifully curved Black woman who explores her sexuality in such an unconventional way. Now, if we were talking about in street language, they would call her a hoe, a hoe child. But once again, having full permission to color outside of the lines. Her character isn't married. She isn't in a long-term relationship. She's dating. She's exploring her sexuality, just trying to figure out what she likes and what she doesn't like. But when does it get to the point of hoism? Do you think that the character Angela on Tyler Perry's Zatima is promiscuous? Do you think that she should tone it down? And I'm also curious to know if her real life persona emulates her on-screen character. So I'm going to bring Nzinga in just a few short moments, but I need you to do me a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Subscribe, reshare this conversation, leave a comment, like it, and make sure you subscribe. This is what increases media representation for people of color like you and I who are watching.
Sanya On-Air.
Also, I have some amazing billboards available. If you're looking to promote your brand, I have billboards, digital billboards available all across the United States. If you are interested in obtaining a billboard to promote and market your brand, build awareness, send me an email, Sanya@sanyaonair.net, and we'll get you started. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned for this conversation from the beginning, the middle, and the end because we're going to be talking about a lot. So let's just bring in Nzinga Imani from the hit show, Tyler Perry's hit show, Sistas and Zatima. Hi, beautiful.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazingly well. Just to share some good news, just one amazing Black woman to another. I just got my doctorate the other day.
Congratulations, that's amazing. I love it.
I'm all about representation, and I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that I am creating pipelines of access for not only my daughter, but for other women of color who have dreams but don't know how to get there.
Amen. I love it.
So I'm so excited about
Yes.
this conversation because I'm tuned in every single week, especially when you had such a intro to the world. And it was another show where you were kind of you know,
I see where you're going here.
but I've been tuned in to your
Yes.
growth and how you've made such an impact. Now, I grew up in the 70s. And
Mhm.
when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of representation.
Mm.
Girls who looked like you and I, girls with all of these curves,
Yes.
girls with all of this dark melanin hue.
Mm.
How did you realize that acting was your passion and your purpose and your dream? When did you realize that?
Oh, I think I realized acting was my passion around high school when I was introduced. Once I got introduced to acting, it was acting all the way. It was like a missing piece of the puzzle that I didn't realize. I'd always been a singer, so I was performing in that way. But when my course teacher told me that I should join the musical, I was like, a musical? Like I didn't even, I wasn't even very familiar with musicals other than like watching Annie or something like that. I wasn't really familiar. So having the opportunity to be in one and seeing the way the cast works together, the way the show is different every night, it was just so magical, and I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, in conversations with a lot of actors and actresses, they tell me that you may receive 1,000 no's, but it's that one strong yes. How
Amen.
did you navigate between all of those no's and still stand firm in knowing that I need to continue with this journey? How did you navigate through the no's?
So many ways. For one, being busy, staying busy. Even if I wasn't booked on a project, I was in the world. I made sure that I was in some way. I worked in makeup, costuming, building sets. There is no type of part of this whole entertainment thing that I didn't try out in the meantime, just to be close to it. It took
Mm,
about 10 years, if not more, from the time that I like went to school for theater to when I actually got on a television screen. I was doing lots of indie projects and creating my own content online and things like that, parodies and short stories and music videos. So staying busy doing those things and growing in the craft, learning, networking, because so many of the people that I work with now are all people who came up with me. I did
mm, mm,
Danielle, who plays Belinda, I did her makeup for her headshots that got her on the show. It's like everything is full circle. So just staying active, working that muscle, and continuing to network throughout all of that was the key. And just realizing that you can always create. You don't need a yes from anyone to
mm.
create. Like I was making waves even before I got on this show because I knew that my voice, my image, all of that was powerful. So just being firm in that and knowing like anything that you do and you put your all into is going to touch somebody.
Yes. I get that, and it does definitely resonate with me, but there's a part of that journey towards navigating through the no's, staying busy, making sure that you are in certain spaces, but there's a word that always comes along with that journey, and that's tired.
Mm.
What self-talk do you have with yourself when you're feeling tired? Because I'm gonna tell you a true story. Just I was 5 seconds away from canceling this conversation or rescheduling
Oh
because I traveled, from
no.
state to state this past weekend, and I said I'm so tired, but I said, you know what, I still have to get up. I had to have a self conversation. So when you're tired, that big T, what's the conversation like with yourself to say I got to get up and I got to do this?
Ooh.
What's the conversation like?
So many things, but I would have to say I come from a Caribbean household. Okay, my my family's Guyanese, And I feel like when you're raised first generation, you have a different work ethic, a different mindset. There is no sleep, there is no rest, there is no time for that. And I don't take lightly that I'm extremely blessed to be in this field and to make money doing something that I love. And I know how hard my mother and her mother and everyone before her worked to get me to this point. So I would never like put that to the side or play that down. It's a big deal. And I'm gonna always show up because I know this is what we all worked for to get towards this point. And plus the next generation is right behind me and they need to see it too. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I have a nephew who is the most I don't even like, he's a star. And I'm not just saying this because he's related to me. This boy is 3 and he can read full books and he's super just like his the way he acts and the way he'll go up to a grown person and be like, "Hello, how are you doing today? What do you do for work?" Like he needs to be in movies. And I'm like, great, because now I'm in a position where when that time comes, we can have him prepared and ready to walk into his greatness. Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm
So
gonna get this light back on.
you but you mentioned something, and I don't want to rush over it, your upbringing. And
Mm-hmm.
upbringing is so important because it really sets the framework for how we will show up today. I prayed for this.
Mm-hmm.
And in moments when I'm tired, I said, okay, but I prayed for this. So
Yeah.
I have to understand that sometimes being tired comes along with this, and I prayed for it. That's
Mm-hmm.
a blessing, you know. So I'm glad that you mentioned your Caribbean upbringing. My dad's from St. Kitts,
Oh
and I
yes.
understand when I walked across the stage with my undergraduate degree, my mom looked at me and she said, "Okay, so what's next?"
Yeah.
I text my friends this weekend, with the footage from me getting my doctorate, and one of my friends said, "Okay, but I know your journey isn't over. What's
Mm-hmm.
next?" And I'm just like, well, "Damn,
Right.
but I get it. The
Mm-hmm.
marathon never ever stops." But I want to, briefly transition to your amazing character Angela on Tyler Perry's hit show Zatima. Now, your character Angela, it resonates with a lot of women, such as myself, but there may be some women who say Angela is a bit too much. Ugh. In your own words, how would you describe your character Angela?
I wouldn't say a bit too much. I feel like we all know that girl and we all need that girl in our life. She's super supportive. She tells it like it is. She's I feel like she could be doing a lot more is what I think because as the person who plays her, I always have to understand and come from a real place when it comes to her decisions. Why is she so harsh towards Bryce? Why is she so harsh towards Zach? I have my reasons and I think they are valid reasons. And I know everyone else is not on board, but they have to also understand that she's got a point of view that they don't have. They're seeing the full story. When you don't see the full story and you don't have all the information, you move differently. So she's definitely a lot. But wouldn't it be boring to watch someone who wasn't?
Yes,
Like,
it would be.
who wants to watch that? I
It is.
don't.
But I just want to capture one trait of Angela. She is very bold and unapologetic when it comes to her sexuality and how
Hmm.
she explores and navigates through her sexuality. I don't have a problem with it. I'm like, girl, live. Do what you
Yeah.
need to do until you figure it out. You're still
Hmm.
young, you're still vibrant. Figure it out. Is there in your personal life, is there anything about your personal life that kind of mirrors Angela's character on Zatima?
Unfortunately, not at all. Not even a little bit. I am so unlike her when it comes to that. I am a serial monogamist. When I'm in a relationship, I'm in that thing forever, and I'm locked down. I am not the experimenter that she is, but I also feel like the way that we've built that character, she isn't necessarily as out there and wild as people perceive. I think she's recovering from a heartbreak that was done publicly. So now it's like I'm gonna protect my heart by yeah, I still want attention from him. I still want to hang out with him. And I want to go on dates and do all the other fun stuff too. But I'm not gonna open my heart up. And the best way to do that is to have a few.
Mm.
Never let anybody get too close. So I think that's where Angela comes from when it comes to her experimentation with all these different people. And that's not something I can relate to personally, but sometimes I do wish that I could turn back time and have my young spirited days where I could really just go out there and wild out. But I feel like now I'm not playing those games. Not in Atlanta. Not in 2025.
Oh no, not in Atlanta. Definitely not in Atlanta. But
All right, now not too much on Atlanta now.
I love Atlanta. My significant other is in Atlanta, so I love it.
Oh,
But I'll tell you one thing: mother has lived for both of us,
yes. I appreciate you.
so I got you.
I
I
get to
got
live through Angela now though, so that's fun.
Yes, yes. So I'm glad that Tyler Perry has added so many layers and texture to the character of Angela. If you could add an additional layer to Angela, what would that layer be?
Ooh, I guess I would love to find out her family story because my family is such a huge part of my life and everything that I do and my motivation. And I think that's the part that I'm missing when it comes to Angela because you aren't introduced to that yet. And I think that that shapes so much of who you are and how you present. So I'd be very interested to see where we could take that, bringing some family into Angela's life.
Got it. Now let's talk about relationships, especially the relationship between women that
Mm.
can have so many hills and mountains, ebbs and flows. How would you describe the relationship between the women of the cast of Zatima? Do you think that it is toxic? Do you think that it is teachable moments? How would you describe their relationships?
It's a little bit of both, for sure. There's definitely some toxicity when I think about the way Deja and Fatima interact, or the way Belinda decided to show Fatima that Zach was unfaithful by jumping his bones and clinging onto him like a spider monkey. You never there's always a surprise, and there is a lot of like kind of violence. And that's where I would say the toxicity comes in, but there are lessons to be learned as
Yeah.
well. I feel like we're starting to see Deja's character enter the fold slowly.
Yes.
And in any situation where there's people that you're not really sure about or you don't trust or they've broken trust before, you're moving with caution.
Yeah.
You're moving with caution for sure. Even within Angela and Fatima's relationship, in I think it was last season where Fatima kind of snaps at Angela like, "You always trying to give me advice about my man. Worry about your life and what you
Mm.
got going on." And Angela was offended by that, but somebody had to say something to her too. So that's real girlhood too. Like your
Yes.
friends need to be able to talk to you and hold you accountable and have those unfiltered conversations with you in order for you both to grow. And in
Yes.
order for you both to grow your relationship. Because at the end of the day, if everybody's just smiling in each other's face, that's not friendship.
Yes. And I'm glad that you mentioned that A word because I was going to bring it up as you were talking. I'm like, that sounds like accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Your environment has to hold you accountable. I don't even want people around me who's going to have me go outside just looking a hot mess or in spaces saying the wrong thing, showing up the
Yes.
wrong way. So when I'm looking at the relationship between the women, even Belinda, when she does some outlandish things,
Mm-hmm.
especially the most recent episode,
Yes.
I'll talk about that. I don't want to spoil
Mm-hmm.
it for anyone. It's the accountability piece. In your real life, do you have a strong circle of sister friends who hold you accountable? And when was the last moment they held you accountable? And talk about that.
Ooh. I feel like I'm normally the mirror person. I'm the one who's like, this is where you were wrong and you got to accept that, and no, you shouldn't have said it to him. I'm normally the one more than anything, but I think the person who can get me together the best is my eldest sister, who is my best friend. She I mean, when I'm slipping on anything, she'll be the person to message me constantly like, have you done
Mhm.
this yet? When do you plan on getting this done? Like keeping me on it because I have a tendency to lose track. Oh my goodness. So she's probably the person who will get on me the most. And unfortunately, recently, it hasn't been anything too deep aside from her reminding me, like, call your mother.
Mm, mm,
And that's such a simple thing, but it can easily kind of get swept up in all the things going on in life, a lot of traveling, trying to match schedules. It's like, of course, I want to call her, but she gonna make that's your mama. Stop playing, schedule it in the schedule. And she definitely got me together about that, and I'm glad because it's definitely not something I intend to do whenever I delay that call, but or I'm unable to answer, but she's gonna get me back on track for sure.
got you, got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I'm the voice of reason for my friends, and I'm always the one
Mhm.
imparting the advice. And there was one time, one of my best friends, and she said, Sanya, I don't need your advice right now. I just need you to listen. I don't need you
Yeah.
to fix it. I just need you to shut up and I need you to listen. I was like,
Listen.
oh,
Yeah.
me? But, because she was a friend or she is a friend, that was the accountability moment. And she taught me how to navigate our friendship. Sometimes,
Yeah.
yes, she does need me to be the voice of reason, but sometimes she just needs me to be an
Listen.
ear, a
Hmm.
listener. So, accountability is super, super important. Do you have any children?
No, I don't. I don't. I used to teach preschool though, so I have all of my babies. I'm literally looking at a picture of them on my fridge right now. Like, I
Nice.
I love children.
A preschool teacher?
Yes, for several years. Yeah.
Wow, that's something that I'm sure we all did not know. I'm an educator as too. I've been in education
Oh
for
yes.
27 years. I manage one of New
Oh,
York City's largest charter high school network.
I
Um,
love it.
so education is near and dear to my heart. When you going to get back to the kiddies though, teaching them in the classroom, will you ever get back to that?
Teaching? No. But there are so many different ways to teach children. I
Yep,
definitely want to do maybe like a theater program or something like that. I got to get my legs to stand real good first. But I definitely want to go back and be able to pour into the youngins because that's so important and
it
it's so
is.
fulfilling. There's
It
nothing
is.
like having a group of kids who are learning something, having fun, being able to interact and grow and develop. Is so much fun and so beautiful. I
It
definitely
is.
I miss it. I would probably have stayed longer if there were other if teachers were paid correctly. I don't have a better way of saying
Ah,
it.
you're preaching to the choir. Already no.
Yeah.
Trust me on this one. But another important tenant came up as I'm watching you. That's what it was. The Queens, I think it was Queens Men when I was
All the
talking about
Queen's men,
all the
yes.
Queens Men, then Sisters, and then now Zatima,
Hmm.
body image and representation. Once again, the media, when we talk about the images that we see on television, we often feel as if we have to be a certain type of body type
Hmm.
in order to resonate with the audience. When you first started acting, did you feel any type of, I don't know if they're going to receive me because I am a curvy, voluptuous woman? How did you first approach the television industry being a curvy woman? Did you have any type of reservation?
I didn't have a reservation in my approach, but I knew that it was going to force me to move differently. I knew that
Mhm.
there were going to be certain things that I was going to have to make sure were done just to keep myself in the best light. For example, I don't think there was ever a project where I didn't bring my own wardrobe.
Mm.
There It's very rare that I can walk into any wardrobe department and they have the looks that go with the character, because typically even I'm casting things where I am playing someone who's sexy and flirty because that's just the vibe that I give.
Okay, honey, you better go ahead.
And with that comes a look. And oftentimes I'll go into a dressing room and they've got, paisley cold shoulder tops and zippers that come up to here. And it's like, that's not, did we read the same script? That's not the character. But I also understand it's very difficult if you don't know how to shop for a plus size body, that
Yeah.
you won't know where to go. You won't know where to order from. You may have to wait a little while. I've been curating a closet for the past 10 years that I know I'm going to be able to pull this, and this. So, I definitely take notes and I definitely try to work with the department. But honestly, typically they are relieved because it's not easy to dress
Mm.
someone, especially when you're dressing hundreds of people at one time, to take that extra step that you have to take as a plus size person to have your clothes. And not only that, but also I typically will even do my own makeup or redo my own
Mm.
makeup. Like, I just always want to come presenting in the best light because I know I'm
Mhm.
not just representing me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I know that when she sees me and she sees me, that she feels a way, and I never want to disappoint.
Yes.
So, unless the character calls for it, but she hasn't yet.
Uh,
I look forward to playing roles where I get to not be as glamorous and where I really get to dig deep. But
mm.
at the same time, right now, if I'm playing a character who's sexy, I'm gonna give you sexy. If
Right.
playing a character who's standing next to Eva Marcel, I'm
Okay.
going to
You
have
gotta
to
bring it.
come and bring it. And I refuse to let any other obstacle outside of my outside of my control
Right.
them what I could do and how I can come on screen. When you saw me in All the Queen's Men, from head to toe, everything I had on was something I brought, and that
Mm,
wasn't it wasn't supposed to be that. But when I tried on what they had, and I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work
yeah.
for this scene. I see what Rashawn Ali is wearing, and it's all this bright pink, and it's cut up, and I'm supposed to be her best friend. I
Mm,
have to match this energy. So
mm.
I think about all of those things whenever I'm presenting on camera because I know people are watching.
So you talked about all of the things that you are doing in order to represent a curvaceous woman well on screen. But what are the things that you are saying to unpack and minimize that narrative so that the next curvy girl who shows up on set doesn't have to think about, okay, now I have to study my lines. Now I also have to pick out my wardrobe, possibly do my makeup. So what are you saying in order to minimize the narrative of not having enough appropriate clothing for curvy women on set?
That's one thing I'm proud of because it's shifted over time. People learn, you know what I mean? When you come in and you have a rack and you're like, oh, I have a suitcase. If we could, then they start seeing certain labels. They start seeing
Mm,
certain brands, and then the next time, the next season that I come in, there are more options and more options, and slowly we get out of that where now I can go in and I might bring a couple options, but most of the stuff that I bring I mean, most of the stuff that they have, it works and it's fabulous and I love it, and and we can move forward. And I think that that's kind of the point. It was never to like upstage anybody or take anybody's job. It's just like it's a learning process. And while we're all learning, I'm
mhm,
here. I'm an educator too. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll send you this site. Oh girl, I have a boutique too. Let me show you some of the things. You tell me what'll work from that. So I just try to go at it from less of a complaining way and more of like a let me help you, let me show you.
mm.
And that's been helpful. I feel like people are a lot more receptive to that.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because oftentimes, especially women of color, we can be passionate about something, but
Mhm.
oftentimes it's weaponized.
Yeah.
So you just communicated a very savvy, professional, ladylike way
Hmm.
to teach people
Hmm.
how to dress you instead of complaining. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you mentioned that because we really have to be mindful how we enter into spaces and how we stay in spaces. So I'm glad that you didn't approach it with combativeness,
Hmm.
but from a teachable moment of let me just show you and let me demonstrate how to dress a beautiful woman such as
Absolutely.
myself. I
Yeah.
love that. But I got caught up on Zatima. I'm tuned in. Let me tell you, child. I am tuned in it is like a Negro spiritual gospel in my
I
household.
love that.
It really is. I have my daughter watching it. She's 30. We talk about the characters, but on the recent episode, we see Angela doing something that I didn't think she would ever do, and that is really address her weight loss.
Hmm.
How did you feel about that when Tyler Perry wrote that into the script? Did you feel that he was getting away from the premise of Angela and what made fans fall in love with her? Or this is about time for the evolution?
Neither. So for one, Tyler didn't write this season. Courtney
Okay.
Glade stepped in and he
That's
wrote,
right.
yes. So it's a new writer. I expected it to go in a different direction because Courtney's tone is so different than Tyler's tone. Courtney comes from more of like a thriller, suspense.
He
He
did the
goes a lot.
reading.
Yes, he did the reading.
He was on
Yes.
my show.
Yes, he's fantastic, but
Yeah.
he has a lot a darker tone. I feel like Tyler Perry brings this drama and the comedy, and I feel like when Courtney writes, he's gonna give you all the drama. He's gonna let you find the comedy. You
Mm,
you figure that out. And so for me, when I read it, I was a little mortified, to be honest, because it wasn't something I ever in my mind, that wasn't Angela's struggle. That wasn't where Angela was coming from. And she was confident in herself and in her body. That was how I had framed her these past three seasons. So it was a shock to me when I read it. I actually had to put the script down for a little bit just to kind of process because I was like, this is going in a very different direction than I was expecting. And it took me a while to get past that because I knew that it was going to shock a lot of people, and I knew I have a core audience and base that supports me and loves me, and I knew that it was going to affect them.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to misguide anyone, or anything like that. What I will say is I hate that the season ended this way because there's more to the story. So stay tuned. It doesn't end there, and that is not all there is to that story. And it's not going in the direction y'all think. Also, I would love to say that the GOP one or whatever I'm taking in the show versus my real life, there it's not related. There's no correlation there. I think if more than anything, reading that and seeing that written for me just kind of awoken some things in me where it's like, you know what? I want to be in control of where and how I present so that the stories and the things that I'm a part of are representative of who I am and where I am and don't always kind of lead back to the same narrative about plus size people. So I think it just kind of awoken something in me to be like, you have to take control of this, otherwise this will be the trajectory of the stories that you tell. So
Yes.
it did affect me in that way, but it wasn't it didn't it kind of shocked me. It definitely shocked me. But over time it became something where I was like, I'm glad I had to dig into that. I'm glad that I kind of had to open my mind because growing up with Caribbean parents and things like that, there's so much that you can tend to suppress
Mm-hmm.
almost. And I think for a long time I had kind of put certain things so far back in my head where it's like I'm not touching it, I'm not thinking about it. And playing that character and going through that season made me have to unpack some things that I hadn't addressed.
Mm.
So I love it now, but definitely was in shock when I first got the script.
So, not to get too much into your business, but I
Mhm.
am going to ask,
Yes.
what type of things did you have to unpack?
Oh, just there's a lot of ooh, I mean, when you're plus size your whole life, and then my mother is Caribbean, as I continue to say, but she was, as although she is so supportive in everything that I do, one thing that had always come between us was my weight. It was always a big topic of just malice, for lack of a better word, towards me. And that, in addition to like being introduced to my grandmother, who is her mother, and the first thing she said to me was, "Pretty face spoiled by your belly." And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, so little things like that here and there, um little triggers, all these little things that I had kind of like pushed back so far and been like, these things don't bother me, they don't bother me. And then over time, you're building this wall, but that makes it impenetrable. That means nothing can get to you. And once something finally does, it just makes you look at things differently. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was just like, oh, the wall got a little crack in it and now I can see through it. And I'm like, okay. Even at that time, I mean, I had gained weight a lot since All the Queen's Men to the fourth season of Zatima. So it was just kind of like an eye-opening situation where I'm like, okay, I want to work on this now.
Mm. Mm.
I've been fine, I've been all these things, and there's no shade to where I was, but I just want to go in a different direction now. So yeah.
Got it. Got it. Well, let me tell you, you are showing up and representing well. As a fan of yours and of this show, I tune in every single week, not just to look at Zach or Fatima, but I want to see your story
Thank you.
because, like you, I am also a curvy girl who was
Mhm.
always on this sort of weight loss journey, trying to figure it
Mhm.
out. My dad is from the Caribbean, my mom is from the South, and I
Mhm.
always had those conversations about weight. As a
Yeah.
child, I was very, very slim, but then, motherhood hit, I gained weight, and then I started hearing comments.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. And it did send me, I wouldn't say into depression, but into self reflection as to how people were viewing me outside of how I was viewing myself. And I had
Mhm.
to come to terms with that the only opinion that matters is how I see myself.
Absolutely.
So, how do you see yourself, Nzinga? Describe
Oh,
it. Give
I
us some
see
adjectives.
myself. Oh, I mean, vivacious. There's so many things. I love that I can be so free spirited that I don't really care too much about how people perceive me. If I want to bust out in a musical in a second or experiment on a hairstyle, one thing I've learned is that if I do things with confidence,
Mm-hmm.
they're great. There's no denying it. They're gonna come out great. So I'm not scared to experiment. I'm not scared to try things, and I guess if that's courage, or that would probably be the word I would use.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, very courageous. You have to be courageous in order to be in the industry that you're in, because in this digital space of social media, they are the judge, they are the
Hmm.
jury, they are the
Yes.
verdict, they are everything. But
Hmm.
your energy and your spirit, it really resonates through the television screen, and it enters in people's home in such a very joyful manner. So thank you for being such a beautiful representation of the possibilities of courage and beauty. I do
Thank
want to play
you.
like this quick rapid fire type of questions with you.
Oh, let me
Yeah,
buckle
yeah,
up.
yeah. What's your, out of all the roles that you've obtained, what's your favorite role?
Ooh, it's a role called Maya. It was in Curves on BET. It was a pilot, and you can find it on BET.com. It's the show is called Curves. I got to play with Raven Goodwin and Janae, and we were the leads of that pilot. It was so much fun to film. I got to sing in it. I had the love interest who was a basketball player. Like, it was all the things. I loved it.
Yes. Okay, who's your dream co-star?
Ooh, oh no. Hmm. This is hard. Right now?
Yes, I'll tell you mine. Mine is Boris Kojo, child, for the past 10 years. If I just got him. Hi, Ari, Nicole Parker. I love you, but I don't mean to be disrespectful.
No, I totally get that. And it's funny because men didn't even come to my mind at all in that moment when you said. I immediately went to all the women who I admire. Queen Latifah, I would love to play something with her. I would love,
That's a great one.
I don't know in what capacity, but Queen, I feel
That's a
like.
great one. I didn't even think about that. That's a great answer. Okay, what is your guilty pleasure TV watching?
Ooh, guilty pleasure?
Yes, guilty pleasure. Mine is the Zeus Network. Child, don't judge me.
Ooh. It's funny because I just finished binge watching Boots, which was a phenomenal story, but it's definitely not a guilty pleasure. What would be a guilty pleasure? I feel like, hmm, there's nothing that I could think of right now that is like that I feel like is a guilty pleasure that I'm binging. I just kind of just hop around all the time. I have no loyalty to anything, any genre, anything. I'm
Yes,
all over the place.
yes, yes. You'll
But I'm a
find me.
sucker for a musical. So anything that's a musical for sure.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I come from a musical theater background as well. Performing
Yes.
arts. Yeah, I was just talking to a few of my colleagues about going to see another Broadway play. So Guys and Dolls did that. West Side Story did that.
Mm-hmm.
Annie
Mm-hmm.
did that. So we have a
Yes.
lot in common.
I love
What's
it.
your favorite comfort food?
Okay, this is embarrassing, but I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my vice is hot Cheetos, but I don't eat them. I don't eat them.
What do you do?
I suck the spice off and I spit them out. I know. I know. I can't even eat them in front of people. I have to, it's literally, that's my guilty pleasure because I have to be alone for it. I don't like the chip. The chip is like cardboard. Keep the chip. But if they would sell the dust, the
Yeah.
hot Cheeto dust, I would eat it by the spoonful.
Cheeto dust.
Truly, I'll go to the gym and my trainer will be like, "Why are your fingers red?" And I'm like, "Because he can't know I've been over here sucking Cheetos all night." Yeah. So hot Cheeto
No.
dust specifically, not the Cheetos though.
That used to be my favorite, but as I'm getting up there in years and maturity and being more wise,
Mhm.
it just doesn't agree with my stomach anymore. But when I tell you I could throw down a bag or two at the same time.
Well,
No,
friend,
no,
maybe
no.
just try sucking them.
I'm gonna try it. I'm
Maybe
gonna try sucking it.
let's try sucking and then spitting it out like some sunflower seeds.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing like a good sucking spit. We're not
I
gonna
don't
go
know
there.
how we got
We're
here.
not gonna go there. Okay. What was your most memorable starstruck moment?
Ooh, huh. Oh, well, probably the first time I met Tyler Perry. So
Mm.
I was actually auditioning for the role of Danny for Sistas. Yes, and I got a
Oh,
call back. It was the first time I had been to the studio. We're in this beautiful like theater space, and there's a bunch of executives in the rows. You can't really see them, but you can always see Tyler because he's like 70 feet tall. So you just know he's there. And I did my performance, and he stopped, and he was just like, he stopped me on my way out, and he was just like, "You are absolutely beautiful." And I was
mm.
like, I don't know what I said back, but it was not words. And yeah, maybe a year or maybe 2 years later, I was on set for All the Queen's Men,
Wow.
and then luckily able to talk then because I'm sure I didn't make the best impression during that callback.
Right. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Are you currently auditioning for any other roles outside of your current character on Zatima? Any other roles?
Oh, I'm always auditioning, but we can't talk about them until we book. Well, we can't even talk about when we book them. We still have to wait until the network release. But I will say there's a rom com coming soon where I'm
Ooh,
the lead.
in 2025 or 2026?
It should be 2025 before the end of this year.
Really? Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And once again, like I said, I'm loving to see the evolution of Nzinga Imani.
Thank you.
And the representation, because there's not a lot of women who look like you on camera. And like I said, your ferociousness, your courageousness, your audacity, girl, it is seeping through your pores.
Thank
Don't
you.
stop. Now, if you had any advice for a young girl or boy who is looking at this conversation or looking at you on camera and saying, I want to be exactly where she is, what advice would you give to him or her?
Create, create, create. Don't wait.
Mm.
Before I was on any major television set, I was creating my own content for years, whether that was live productions or even parody content where we're making videos on our iPhones. But those things prepared me for the long set days, for the problem solving skills that I learned to do on set, for the improv, for networking. I mean, everything I learned in those trenches. It wasn't when I got to be on a Tyler Perry set that I was making these connections and all these and doing the work. It was long before. So, best advice would be create, don't wait. You'll grow and learn and fix your mistakes along the way. But if you're waiting to be perfect to start, then you'll never start. So, get started.
Great advice. Great advice. And then one final question. Success is defined differently for every single person that you come across. How do you define success for yourself?
Oh, doing what I love with the people that I love. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's very simple. I love it. You
Yeah.
know, we want to give out this damn theatrical answer. You know,
No. It's just that
simplicity.
simple. Yeah.
Simplicity. I love it. Where can my audience follow you on social media? Do you have a website? And if so, just tell us, where can we follow you?
Yeah, so hey guys, you can find me on all social media at Nzinga Imani. That's Nzinga Imani. And you can also find my plus size clothing boutique, Shop Namani, on Instagram or the website shopnimani.com. Yes, and that's where you can find me and be looking out for my rom com coming soon and for part 4B of Zatima, which will hopefully be coming soon too.
We'll be here for it all. And I'm going to go visit your website because that pink outfit that you had on and those pink shoes in the most recent episode of Sisters,
Oh,
you slayed.
yes.
Oh, you were slaying, honey. You were
Thank you.
slaying.
Thank you.
But Nzinga, thank you so much for your time. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to be here with me on Sanya On-Air. You are valued. You are appreciated. We love you. We are cheering for you. Keep on keeping on because you resonate power. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And congratulations once again. Girl
Thank
power.
you so much. So I'm just going to continue on with this episode, but we'll be in touch and I will be following you.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
So there you have it. Nzinga Imani, amazing, beautiful, beautiful soul. When I tell you, I love to have individuals on Sanya on Air who are doing amazing things, who are unafraid to tell you how they've done it, tell you all about their challenges, providing the access to the opportunities. So many people want to be gatekeepers because it can only be one in the room. No, no, no. There's a seat at the table for everyone. And just as Nzinga said, don't wait for the opportunity. Create, create, create. Do not wait for the opportunity. Create, create, create. She is definitely slaying on our television screens. And if you are not tuned into Tyler Perry's hit show, Sistas and Zatima, to see Nzinga Imani, what are you waiting for? This is how non traditional roles, such as Angela on Zatima, becomes traditional roles across every single network. So that when young girls who are growing up, young girls who are watching television like this, and they say to themselves, I want to do that when I get older. They can see themselves and know that it is possible. So, this is why it is so important that you support. If you are a person of color, or if you are simply an ally to people of color, and when you ask, what can you do? Watch the shows. If you're watching Sanya on Air, make sure that you stay tuned to Sanya on Air. Make sure that you are hitting the notification bell on YouTube so that every time I upload an all new Sanya on Air celebrity conversation, you'll be the first one to know. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you like. Make sure that you leave a comment. Make sure that you share. And tell a friend, tell a family member, tell an enemy too. Keep them hating. But these are the things that we must do so that we no longer have the words non-traditional as a part of the Black narrative. This is all traditional to me. So I love that I created my own platform and I'm bringing in talent of influential people so that you can be inspired, you can be motivated. So we're about to close up this episode, but once again, Sanya On Air has the most amazing digital billboards across the United States of America, especially here in New York City in Times Square. But if you're not here in New York City, because Sanya On Air is global, make sure that you email me if you're interested in learning more about the packages. If you are interested in obtaining your own Sanya On Air digital billboard with your brand, okay, make sure that you email Sanya at sanyaonair.net. Also, Sanya On Air is about to launch new merchandise as a part of my Sanya On Air empowerment line. So this was inspired by a conversation or an interview that I had with the actress Dawn Lewis of A Different World, hanging with Mr. Cooper. And as I was researching her, preparing for the conversation, make sure that you go to my Sanya On Air streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Music, wherever platforms are streaming, make sure that you catch my conversation with actress Dawn Lewis. But as I was researching her, and she's done so much, and then I was just connecting the conversations with all of the amazing celebrities that I've had conversations with over the years. And I was like, oh my gosh, how would I categorize them other than being a culture texturizer? A person who adds so many different layers and texture to the narrative of Black excellence. So that'll be launching pretty soon. So make sure that you support by purchasing for yourself, for your family, for your friends, and keep Sanya On Air as a traditional role in media, not just Black media, but in media, traditional. I thank you so much for tuning in. This was an amazing conversation with actress Nzinga Imani. Make sure you catch up to watch her character Angela on Tyler Perry's hit show, Zatima. I believe the series just ended. The season just ended. I'll be waiting with bated breath for the next season because they left us on a cliffhanger. They truly, truly did. And that's what I like about a series. Every time the season ends, I'm like, it can't be over. I want more. And that's exactly what I said to myself when I watched the season finale. I need more. That's how you know that a show is worth it. So thank you so much for tuning in to another amazing edition of Sanya On-Air, where we don't just have traditional conversation. We want to have unconventional conversations that add to the traditions, unpacking their pivotal moments and milestones, providing opportunities and access. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Smooches, take care.